Today I'll be installing OEM battery terminals to get rid of these two battery terminals, which, no bueno. The first piece I have, this covers the positive terminal, doesn't fit onto the aftermarket one, not surprised. Which then I have this. I have the part from the harness that I got from a 2000 Corolla or something from the junkyard. I had to cut it off to get to it. That will have to be soldered onto that one. But then I have this positive terminal itself from, I think, Beck & Arley, because it came with the top nut there, which also was, it's OEM equivalent, so it should be fine, better than this, since these. And then the only place I was able to find a new ground cable, because Toyota I think has this discontinued. I got this from Rock Auto for like 15 bucks. Should easily replace that one, and since I'm going to be dealing with ground cables without any, I'll put some clear coat on there, you'll see. And then I have the battery hold down that I got from Norco. I refreshed it because it was rusty, and that's on my Instagram, the refreshing there. And then the battery tray, which I spray painted black. It won't be seen in the car once I actually put it in there, but just in case, I would rather just have it black to match with the color. The very first step is to take the battery out. Also, make sure you have some water with you while doing any of this, because it's so hot out here. I believe those two are connected there with 12 millimeters. This is a 12. Comes off like that. This is a 12. Comes off. Oh wow, I don't want to lose that. Even though it wouldn't really make much of an issue. Well, I guess I want to keep the hardware. Come on. Oh, you're tight on there even without. And then the battery is going to stay the same. The battery's still good. But heavy. Jeez. Keep that to the side. I'm already sweating. So with this one connects onto the, I don't need to zoom in for that. This one connects to the negative battery terminal, and then this one goes underneath the battery tray, which I had to remove these, I believe 10 or 12 mils. And then this end goes onto the transmission itself. So similar to doing the transmission mounts, but I'm not lifting up the engine or doing anything. I think you guys could actually see the ground cable somewhere over here. I'll find it eventually. It might just be that one right there. Same with the transmission mounts. I really wish this would just come out whenever removing the two nuts and two bolts, but the ECU has to move a little bit, and that includes, actually I don't even think I need to loosen this 10 millimeter at all. I think I just need to do something with this because it's just in the way. I hated removing this originally. I forgot how I did it, but I'll have to find out. I thought I needed the swivel socket to get to this bolt, but I was wrong. You just take the ECU lid off and then you have perfect access to it. And then I took this little rubber piece off a little bit to unplug these, give it some room. I tilted the ECU down this way to free it over the bracket, and then it let me just wiggle it out. And then I have this, I think it's a 12 millimeter right there. It looks really darn rusty. But we also have our transmission mount here. You don't need to remove the ECU completely, just get it freed up. That's how you can get through here. I was unaware of this, but you actually do need to lift back on this tab and pull the wiring harness up, just to get the bracket freed. And the bracket comes right out. And I am so compelled to just like spray paint this right now, or at least clean it up a little bit, because geez, that is rusty. But here you see the ground cable and it connects directly to the transmission right there. That's what we're replacing. I can't help myself, I just gotta clean this up. This is actually not rust. Well, some of it might be rust, but this is just dirt. I don't know how it looks like rust, but I'm just gonna wire wheel this. I'm not gonna make it look the fanciest, and we'll be right back. I oversprayed it intentionally. I just wanted to make it not rusty. On this end, I had this bolt and this bolt sitting in WD-40. That's a 10, that's a 12. I'm gonna loosen those real quick. I just don't think I could get a good camera angle with the shadow. I loosened the first 12 millimeter, and the bolt was rusty, but the threads were clean. That's nice. And then this has the ground. There's a lot of things grounding off to this actually. The main ground that I'm replacing goes on the bottom. The other one goes on top, even though that probably doesn't matter. Gonna hopefully not drop that. And then we're gonna get the 10 millimeter. Let's hope I don't get in the way of the camera shot. This one right here. Somewhat easy. I did let it sit in WD-40 for about 10 minutes because my phone overheated, so I needed to let it cool down before I could start recording. So then I decided to paint that other piece just because why not? I didn't give it the greatest paint job of all time, just enough to make it not rust. and then let those sit in WD-40 for that time. Ooh, don't want to drop that. And here we have the not so OEM ground cable. And then there's the new one. And as Chris Fix always says, compare the old and new parts. The ground cable, I don't even know if I can do this without the tripod. My main concern was the new one being too short, but if anything, it's a little bit longer than the new one, which is a good thing. It's definitely longer than the new one, which is... the new one is longer than the old one, which is definitely good in my case. I'm sure the ground connections were alright for the past 20 years. Let me get the camera in a good position. There we go. But what I want to do is just freshen up this one, at the very least this one. Doesn't have to be completely bare metal, but just to get it cleaner than it was. I honestly think that it is just bare metal. I don't really see much of an issue with it. This one, what the heck was I even? I was grounding something, so it's good for everything a nice clean in here. Why not? Doesn't hurt. Just to make the connections even better than they were before. Sadly, can't fit a wire wheel, and I don't have a Dremel tool, so this wire brush will have to do. Not gonna be perfect, but better. We have that one on there. We have this one. Which way does it face? I actually don't know. How would I have the battery trimmer like this? I think it's gonna face like this, actually. That right there. I'm gonna have to feed the bolt through actually before anything. So bolt goes into the first ground, then our new one, and then into the transmission with the third one. Reverse threads that way, backwards threads that way I can feel the click and not reverse or cross thread it somewhere. I think it's threading in. Yep, it's going in there nicely now. And let me get to this is a 12. How's the camera looking? Where is it? Where is this even? Oh yeah, y'all can see that. I think YouTube can see this with as little of me in frame as possible. Aiming for quality here. Yeah, that should do it. Just now I actually took the ground off again. I cleaned off the bolt and this ground just because I had it all sitting in WD-40, and then I snugged it up really good. So now this one should go just right here with a 10mm, which I believe it's as clean as I can get it. It looks like it's painted, but I think it'll be fine. Silly me, I took a wire wheel to it. Now that I think about it, it probably wasn't a ground if it's grounding to paint, but then this one also grounds, and that's technically, yeah, this is painted. This isn't bare metal. But what I did plan to do from the start anyways was, it's caliper paint, but it's high heat clear coat. Just something to protect it, you know, on this one specifically. Just a little clear coat, wouldn't hurt, you know. For one layer of paint on both sides, getting roughly everywhere, it feels and looks great. And it's not going to rust anymore, that's the good part. That grass will get cut eventually, so don't worry about that. And I did not intend on making this look perfect, I just intended on making it look prettier than it did before. So now it gets to go back in. And here I can feel the clear coat very different than the rest of everything else. So clear coat's dry as well, which is good. I want to prevent corrosion if all possible. And then as far as I'm aware, this just goes back in here. Well, I think the ECU might have to go in first. Nah, it's fine. I really hate how all these nuts and bolts on here are a combination of 10s and 12mm. Toyota, what is this? What was this decision making that y'all made? This is a 12mm, those two nuts are 12mm, these two bolts are... Am I missing something? Oh no, the bolts go in here, that's why. Just gonna get this tightened down. Let me start getting the nuts in there. I didn't freshen up the nuts since, like I said, I wasn't trying to make this perfect, just trying to make this better than before I had it out, so why not refresh it. Didn't put any clear coat on it, literally just put a layer of paint on it, one layer each, no primer at all. That's all it needs. And I oversprayed everywhere. It somehow looks a lot better than when I try to paint something, so But the paint's about to get ruined whenever I tighten these nuts down. Nice arm shot, by the way. Love the camera angles here. That's tightened down. That's tightened down. This one is tightened down. That's a weird thingy there. I'm not going to mess with that any further. Get the 10mm on there. You got to wiggle the ECU underneath. The right foot goes in first, tilt it, left foot goes in next. That is really easy. Just disconnect this part right here and unplug these two wires, and then this ECU just moves so freely. Like, wow. Are these the bolts, or no? It's gotta be these two with the washers. Yeah, because then these two go to the actual ECU, I think. Up here, but yeah, those go up to the ECU. I have 3 with washers and 1 without a washer, and a rusty one. I'm gonna put are they all the same bolt? No, they're not. I'm just gonna shove this one down here and pretend I didn't notice anything. They all go to the ECU housing though, what? So what's the difference? Only one of them doesn't have a washer. And then that one goes right there. This is confusing. Just gonna put the bolts in as I see fit. I'll be right back once the ECU's in. Then with this harness protector here, just I try to push the bottom in first, squeeze the top a little bit. Can take some trial and error, some wiggling, but it gets in there eventually. All 360, make sure all around it gets in there, and then the ECU just plugs back in just like that. This bolt goes, or this lid goes right up here somehow, and then the 2 bolts go in. These long, these bolts are long. This now takes a 13mm wrench instead of a 12mm socket to tighten down since this bolt is so long, but it's a good ground. It's not moving anywhere. And the car electronics are looking like they're working, so that's a good sign. This is a finishing touch, but I don't see myself finishing off with this thing. Does it go this way or the other way? Oh, it goes that way. It won't be seen, or it might be seen, but that's why I painted it black. This next part will require soldering. Fun. To me, it looks like these cables have already had a small taste of solder to begin with, so I'm just going to solder the main one onto this terminal, and then solder the second one, like chaining it, or like on the side partially, but they're all going to be together. As a test fit, I just shoved the 2 wires together like that. I'm going to strip this wire a little bit further back, and so I could get a good connection to this, and then get a lot of solder wick, and then get a lot of solder, and then solder that one onto the side. You'll see. But I also need to go grab my 100-foot extension cable because my car is far out. For this next part, fair warning, I am not a professional. This thing does get to 450 degrees Celsius, enough for soldering. I have never brought my solder iron this far out. It has a 100-foot extension cable, which means I also have to get my heat gun for the heat shrink tubing. This gets hot. I'm going to put some paper towels down here. I'm going to be safe about this soldering job. If you do any soldering as well, be careful. It's very hot. This can get hotter. This will get hotter than the engine, so be careful. Oh wait, this might be a bad frame if I get in the way. Damn it. I wanted to do the positive terminal first, but since this one takes a little more detail than the negative terminal, I am doing it now. I got paper towels down here. I'm going to strip this just like a 1/4 of an inch, not a lot at all, just to get a little more wire exposed. It's just the sharp part of it. This razor actually is pretty dull, so I'm trying to be careful with this as well. Trying not to cut too deep because I know I'll cut the copper strands, and I don't have any extra wire, so I really gotta be careful with this. And I know where this razor blade has gone too, so I definitely don't want to cut myself. So, sharp object, be very careful. So I can just like, I got some of the wire exposed. Just cut along this line very slowly and very carefully. It's a dull blade, but I don't need to go fast. The dullest blades are always the most dangerous ones. I've cut my hands on things that aren't even a blade. They're just pieces of metal. But underestimating a blade is one of the worst things you could do, so you get the point. I'm going to cut this real quick. Don't get me wrong, it's not the prettiest wire in the world, but there's a lot of strands showing and that this will be more than enough. Next step, other than drinking water, is to find some of the heat shrink tubing that will actually fit around this. And I want to fit it all into like one heat shrink tubing. I think whenever I measured it was something around here that might work for it. Shockingly, it was actually the biggest heat shrink tubing that was able to fit them both. And then I will solder them. I'll solder the bigger one first, and then it's going to take a lot of solder and a lot of wick, or the flux or whatever it is, not wick. You'll see. It took a little while, but the best I could do was prop it up on 2 boxes of brake pads that don't even belong to my car, which there are brake pads in both of them. And then I'm going to put some flux on this. I've soldered a lot, but I've never used flux, which is sometimes a mistake, but it's all right. I believe I just, ooh, it's weird. Just put some on the, no! This is the best camera angle YouTube is gonna get. This thing is slowly heating up. Actually, it heats up kind of within like 30 seconds. Let's see if it melts all the flux. Yeah, oh my goodness. All the flux is in there now. That's a good sign. Dude, I swear. I don't want this to be a bad soldering job. This is why I did this 1 second instead of first, because I won't need this much solder. Come on now. Start off with a small amount first. Let's get this propped up again. There's flux in it. I just need that to stop moving. Thank you. So usually with wires like this, you heat it up from the bottom. Should work, though I can't really apply much pressure, so I think I just want to heat it up from the top from here. I'm not breathing in any of this smoke. Definitely use eye protection for something like this. This is going to take a lot of soldering, and this might get messy. Oh geez. I'm also not cleaning off the soldering iron. That's intentional. There's some solder on there, but not a lot. I think I'm just going to start glooping it on there. Just that way it at least has something. Oh wow, that solder just went nowhere. Of course that would be hot, I'm not surprised. Probably one of the most difficult things I've ever done to my car right here. I almost want to rotate it and solder another point, but I know that it's not going to hold. At least not yet. Dude, this is difficult. Do I need more flux? I think I'm not going to record this entire thing. I think I'm just going to solder it and then show you the aftermath. Usually whenever people say hear me out, it ain't good. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Hear me out. It is not good at all, and I completely understand that 100%. But it is connected, it's not coming off. It's glooped on there, and the terminal itself is pretty freaking hot because of the sun. I do think it'll work, just not great. And I wouldn't say I don't want to fix it, but more of, I'm just gonna roll with it and see what happens. And if I need to fix it in the future, I will. Here's my finished work. Anyone who knows 2 shits about soldering is gonna say I did a horrible job, and I know I did, but it's all connected. Does it look good? No. Will it work? Probably. Will it work better than the original setup? Most likely. I mean, the heat shrink tubing isn't going to fit over it, and worst case scenario, the solder just heats up whenever the engine gets hot, which I highly doubt that'll happen. It doesn't get to 450, and it'll remelt the solder over time, worst case scenario, but that's probably unlikely. I have this heat gun from Walmart here. When I say this is the first time I've ever used this thing properly, I mean I've just never used it on heat shrink wire before, but I'm going to use it on heat shrink wire, and I'm sure it'll be alright. I want to make sure I'm not aiming this at any like engine plastics, but I don't really have a choice. Oh shoot. Nope, I need that. Also, this thing heats up like really quickly. Like, if you ever use one of these, be careful. These things heat up quick. That's all I needed it for. No more. That's all. And then I plan on covering the rest up with electrical tape, because I underestimated the size of how much this would be for the heat shrink tubing, but I'm glad I have it. Let's just hope I have enough black electrical tape to cover this up completely. If not, then I'll have to deal with red, which will be fine. I wanted this to look as perfect as possible, but going into this with a DIY mindset, I know that it's only up to my skill on how this will look. It may even look worse, honestly, but that's all part of the game. It's how this works. It already doesn't look good. Oh my goodness, and it's already not sticking. Wow. Oh, like there's a lot of flux in there. I think that's why. Also, I should just wrap it around with the thing of tape, and I'm just about out of black, so I have to use red instead. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It's always here if I want to fix it later. As for how I would disconnect it later, who knows? As for how I'm working with it now, it's all me. There's just so much flux that's preventing this from like sticking properly. This doesn't look good at all, not one bit. Oh my goodness. You know what, in the comment section, rate this out of 10. It's not good. But as long as it works, I can get the OEM look later on. Oh, I feel silly. Just for all this. Going through all this work and I'm not even soldering correctly. Let's see how this looks on camera. Horrible. Looks horrible on camera. But all the wires are connected, so now we just get this right here. I don't know if this is a 13 though. Negative there, positive right back there. Get the two boxes of brake pads that aren't even from my car. Get those out of here. And this thing as well. And then this paper towel that had catch a lot of the everything. It caught a lot of stuff actually. So just wipe down the battery tray right there. And then we're getting close here, because I have this battery hold down that I've been wanting to install for a long time now. The question is, how do I install this? Is there a spot that I guess I just leverage it on there? Maybe? Will this even work with my battery? Oh, there's a spot right there, but there's also this little spot right here for that one. So then there's my strut squeaking? I don't know what's squeaking over there. Honestly? Oh, it's probably, oh, there's another hole, but it just faces sideways. This one faces sideways. This one faces front and back, but they still hold. All right, that's interesting. When that goes in, the holes are visible. Let me show you that actually. They're about the same piece. This one goes into a little hole right there. You can't see it on camera, but there, if you look on yours, there's a little hole right there. And then there's a little hole right here as well that goes into. Let me try something. This looks way better than it did since before I started. I really like this look. And I have to see if the electronics in the car even work. That's a good sign. It's dark in here because it's hot outside, because I got the shades up. Let's hope this works. Ooh. It still has to land the fuel trim, so I wouldn't be shocked if it starts dying here. I don't know how the voltages are. I should probably get a multimeter. First, I'm going to use the multimeter to read the signal at the battery itself, just not even at the terminals, at the battery. I don't know if you'll be able to... Don't know how well you'll be able to see it. I'll just prop it up right there. That's a dang good spot, actually. On the terminal itself, 13.19. On the right there and right there on the new battery terminal post, 13.19. Now I want to read it with the car started. It runs a little better with the AC on, for obvious reasons. Terminal itself, 14.34. The new battery post, 14.34. Wow, that crappy solder job actually worked. I think someone's gonna ask, let me just, the alternator right there to the terminal. I don't know why I thought that would be perfect. Alternator to what? I guess the frame of the vehicle? I don't know. I don't think that's gonna read. I don't know how to read the alternator. I forgot how to read the alternator, but this works. And it looks beautiful. Thank you for watching. Oh shoot. I really hate, wait. Yeah, it's a fine camera. Ow! Frick! Might cut that part of the video, might not. Oh, whatever, I'm starting it now.